Easily. All right, next game up on here. This is when things start to get squirrely. South Carolina on the road, literally right afterwards. Like, you get the Texas game at the neutral site, and then you travel to South Carolina. And South Carolina, in the most interesting of manners, they once again are another opponent of ours that, schedule-wise, ain't very favorable in that capacity. We go to South Carolina after playing Texas. They come back home after playing LSU.
At LSU.
LSU. They go to Death Valley. Then they come and they see us. Coop, I'm keeping a buck, man. I think depth-wise, we will be better than South Carolina going into that game. I give us the win in a very close one on the road. Brent Venables finally gets a second signature road win that's critical for his resume because everybody has been doubting him. I think we pull out that W. Give me us over South Carolina. And another close one. And this is the game that Tate Sandell has to save us with a field goal late to give us the lead, and then the defense shuts it down. I'm going to say 23-20 or 23-21, right around there.
This is one that I had. This was one of the built-in or the losses. If I go 10-2, I kind of have to have it that way. And then the more and more I looked at it, I looked more and more at their depth and what they lost. Just all in all, I see again the LSU and guys. I mean, I'll say that a lot of our schedule, if LSU is a good team, we play teams after they play LSU the week before, I think 2 or 3 times. So
yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy that a lot of people get LSU, Oklahoma back-to-back weeks. But I'll say this is
really weird.
It's like it's
so weird.
If OU goes out and loses that game, put it this way, if OU loses to Texas, we're not losing that game. OU's record does not matter. The week after Texas is always just absolutely it's just been terrific. But it's an 11:00 game. I don't think that the teeth of the crowd are going to be able to be exactly what they would like to be. So I think that this is going to be a spread cover. I'm going to lean at kind of with what you're saying. Maybe like a 24-21 type of a game on the road, kick a field goal to end it at the end. So I've kind of come the other way because, again, they got to go to Death Valley the week before, and, man, they just lost way too much. And the receiving core was rough last year. When it wasn't Sellers, it was Sanders, and Sanders is gone. So I just have a feeling that South Carolina is going to take a pretty decent step back.
Interesting. I'm more curious to how South Carolina looks without Rocket Sanders. I think that was the one thing that I was really curious. I think defensively they'll be okay. Defensive line, I think that they've done a good job just in recruiting on the defensive line to where they've got a lot of seniors next to Dylan Stewart. Then they got Brownlow Dindy from A&M if he hits his potential, and then Desmond Zulu. So I think and they got a lot of old veterans in the back, a lot of juniors, transfer juniors, redshirt juniors, redshirt seniors. So they've got a lot of older players on the defensive line. We just don't know what they look like. Now Dylan Stewart, of course, is a monster by himself. So we the curiosity is really what that defensive line is going to turn up to be later. I mean, they lost a elite corner into the draft, but their secondary is still pretty veteran. All players that are recruited there, juniors and seniors. So the secondary is going to be fun. They added a transfer in Brandon Sissy. So Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what the offense looked like. To me, Sellers with I don't know if Razul Faison is even gonna play yet. We're still waiting to hear the judgment from the NCAA, in which the way things are going in his life, he may not even get a chance to. He may not play. So it's probably going to be the grad transfer, we'll say Oscar Attaway or Isaiah Gustav, who came from Colorado. That's probably who they're going to end up having in the backfield. And Gustav is actually pretty solid. But I'm curious to see how he works in the system. Lenore Sellers is going to show us who his top wide receiver is going to be. We've been waiting for Nick Harbor to show up. Is he going to be that dude? So if I'm with you, I think that we end up winning that game on the road. And like I said, I think it's going to be a close one, similar to what we did at Auburn, but a little bit closer. I think that's where the upset comes in. Next up is Ole Miss. And this Ole Miss one is interesting, Coop. Ole Miss coming before us. They travel to Georgia. Mm-hmm. So Washington State comes to their crib. Cool, post-bye week. After they play LSU, they got a bye week. They play Washington State at the crib. They travel to Georgia. And then they travel to us. Most of the people that I know that cover Ole Miss have actually penciled that game as an L. Mainly because of the post-Georgia game, the new quarterback, young quarterback. They want to see how that thing turns out. They think that Lane's going to figure it out. But a lot of people I know with Ole Miss have penciled that one as a loss. I do as well. I think we get revenge in that game. I think we take the lead at the half, and we don't actually give it up this time. We actually win it. I think we take that one by I'd say 10 points. I'll say 30. I say either 20-10 or 30-10. I think it's going to be a double-digit win in that one.
So, you look at last year. Jacob Sexton was, having his best game as an OU offensive lineman.
He really was.
He was doing so well, and the confidence was there. That crew we were running. We was good. We were running the ball, and again, Jackson Arnold took advantage of and was able to make some decent plays passing. And then he goes down, and then everything swung the wrong way. Logan Hallen came in first snaps and just kind of pretty much got abused the whole second half.
Yeah, it's brutal.
I'm with you on this one. I look at Ole Miss. They didn't have the massive splashes in the transfer portal that they had the previous 2 years.
Mm-mm.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I want to say that like 5 of the 6 people in the secondary are all transfers in either from the last year or this year.
So their entire secondary so far is projected
players.
to be transfer players.
Yeah. So this is mid-season. So at this point, you should be gelled about as well as you're going to be. A lot of people don't realize this, but Ole Miss last year was a really good defense, and then Jackson Dart and Trey Harris, and that's what it was. That was the season. But Jackson Dart had to pull a rabbit out of the hat time after time after time after time, and that's kind of what made them who they were. This is a game to where I'm going to say, I don't know what the dynamic. I don't know if Ole Miss's offense is going to have that capability to be dynamic, to pull the rabbit out of the hat, to really leverage broken plays into big scores. Venables now has taken a run at this offense, and so he knows what Lane Kiffin's going to have. This is going to be a game to where I'm thinking that especially back at the crib, no matter what happens in October 11th, October 18th, fans are going to be happy to have the team back for the first time. And so it's going to be loud right before Halloween. Give me an OU 31-21.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. So we go from that game, hit the road. Jack, don't you come back no more, no more, no more, and no more. We head to Rocky Top, Knoxville, Tennessee, for our second road game this season in conference, and to me, the one at the most inopportune time. For us, we ride against Tennessee after Tennessee plays not only the third Saturday in October against Alabama, but also a road game against Kentucky, who has been infamous. A lot of people in the SEC will tell you they just beat up on you. So back-to-back road games for them. We get road home, and then we're back on the road. It is the last game of our 5, Tennessee's last game in their 4 straight. So it's going to be an interesting one in this game. The questions around Tennessee still hinge on twofold. One, who's going to be the starting quarterback? Because, yes, I'm hearing that it's going to be, I think Aguilar's trending well. Merklinger is supposedly putting up some good stuff, and the same thing with George McIntyre, the true freshman. I have the question of who is going to be the running back for this team. Is it going to be Deshaun Bishop? Is it going to be Star Thomas? And that, to me, tells me a lot more about Tennessee than anything else. Their right tackle is going to be a true freshman. David Sanders is going to be their starter. Their other backup right tackle transferred to Colorado. He's going to be on their offensive line because David Sanders walked in the door, and that kid's really good.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting on the right side. Good thing he's a right tackle to start because, having a true freshman – and you can see the players come in his direction, makes it a little bit more fun. This game, I think Oklahoma wins it as well. I think this is where we continue along with some streaks of wins. Give me Oklahoma over Tennessee on the road in dramatic fashion. Once again, 27-20.
Jay, give me our schedule here real quick because
right.
before we started this off, I said the core truth portion of the injuries, it's just statistically not possible or mathematically not possible. Our defensive line is going to be better. Our offensive line is going to be better. Our QB is going to be better. And then the opposition is going to be weaker. This is one where Tennessee won with, they came into the house. They turned the ball over. We kept that offense in check. They got a 67-yard touchdown with the Thornton. Kenai Walker on coverage. Billy Bowman gets his eyes caught in the back of the field, and which Billy Bowman did about 3 different times last year. And that was the one explosive play. But, we got to Nico, who was supposed to be it. We held the running game in check, and after they got that long touchdown, it was no longer about anything except for getting the hell out of Dodge alive. This year, they're not going to have that at the running back. They lost pieces on the offensive line. Sanders is going to probably be in his bag. Like, this is where he is going to be. You're no longer a freshman in November. Now you've had your time to go. But they're dealing with the wide receiver injuries. At one point they were out there having defensive backs run around at wide receiver. Jay, that we are really, really close with the Tennessee program for multiple different reasons. But again, I think Heupel will keep this team in check. They were down to 5 scholarship wide receivers just a few days ago that were healthy. And if anybody knows what that feels like, that's us, right? And so, but again, you don't have Nico. You can't decide on who the starter's going to be. Whether that's gamesmanship or not, I don't know if that's a cool play for a coach to do, just because who do you line up behind? If you're the players, who's the leader? It just doesn't feel good. This is one where I think that you go on the road. It's probably tight for most of the game, and then it's probably like a fourth quarter. I could see this like us pressing at the end of the third quarter. You go up by 10, early in the fourth quarter. You get one more score at some point with a 13-point win. So, that's where I'm going. Maybe like you said, I'm going to go like 27-14. Going on the road. I try to try to look at could you lose that game. Man, it just looks like Tennessee, had a lot of fool's gold last year, and that was their shot. And obviously when the quarterback stuff starts happening, it's rough.
Yeah, I'm wondering what for me, it's still the dynamics around, like you said. I mean, injured wide receivers. You're playing a lot of the young players. Mike Matthews is going to be starting. Even and they had like the little NIL thing with him before the season started. It's just things are weird there. Hopefully,
and then a driving incident too with Brazel. So
yeah.
It just seems like that's a team to where if things start spiraling at some point throughout the season, I mean, I'll feel bad for Josh because I think that it's going to be tough.
What do you think about Lance Hurd? How do you think Lance Hurd plays this year? You think that he bounces back from last season? I don't think he was bad last year, but he wasn't immediately great. Let's put it that way.
I mean, sometimes when a lot of the pressure's not on you, then yeah, potentially. That's a big opportunity for him. We just heard way too much about him being dominant in their preseason camp, and then he was kind of goat. He was not the good goat, the bad goat for most of the season.
Yeah, you could tell that he had a lot of work that needed to be done. But I think he gets better. Because his run blocking was not good last year, like at all. But the question is going to be: is he going to be able to bounce back?
Maybe
into that one. So that's what I'm really curious about: is the bounce back there? So I guess you could say we'll find out soon enough, right? All right. Well, Tennessee is done. Next up is the bye week. Not gonna lie, a little concerned about this bye week, man. That late in the season, 3 games afterwards with 1 road, 2 home. A little nervous. Not gonna lie. I think we pull it out, though. I think we pull it out in the bye week. What about you?
So on November 15th, we got to go to Alabama. I think that this again, the bye weeks. I love where both of these are set up. You get your
perfect spots. They are in perfect spots.
You get your run, and then you get a break right before kind of the meat of the schedule, and then you get a bye to kind of load yourself up one more time. And I'm just going to say, if this was last year, this 3-game stretch would be tougher than that 5-game stretch, but I just don't expect a lot out of Missouri this year. And so now this is on November 8th. A lot of teams are going to be playing. You're going to be looking at everything, and here's another team. We're about to get Alabama right after playing LSU.
Yeah. We're going to talk about that in a minute, but yeah. The 8th is going to be a fun weekend.
That's a fun weekend, but now, I mean, if this team is where we're thinking here at this point, now you're lining stuff up. Now at this point, I think you could go 1-2 and you're in the playoff. I think that you can't go 0-3. That's not going to serve people right. But if you come into this bye week with 1 loss or 0 losses, you've got everything to play for out in front of you. Absolutely nothing is off the table at that point.
It isn't. There's nothing off the table. All right. We're going to that next game. Bama on the road in Tuscaloosa. That one's going to be an interesting one. As you said, this is the second time this season that we play a team after they play LSU. Whoo, buddy. Especially with the expectation LSU's going to have a really good defense. The good thing for Alabama is it's back-to-back home game, so it's not a travel for them. But yeah, the the LSU beat up on teams before you play them could be a helpful one. Now, I mean, last year, I'm not going to lie, I said that when we played Bam, I just want everybody to have fun. And we went out there and we beat the dog out of those boys. We really did. And all my Bama boys were laughing at me like, dog, don't say that. Don't say just have fun. I'm like, man, look, our offense is non-existent. I don't know what the heck we're going to do in this game. All I know is I'm just hoping that we do anything possible to make it respectable because it's on national television. And then what happened? Beat the dog out of them. That was the game where you had the healthiest version of your offensive line. That one. The entire game. Ole Miss, you had it, and then Sexton got hurt at halftime. You were up at the half. I think it was 8 total games in the season. We were up at the half last year. Should have finished, and you could have finished with possibly 9 wins if you just had the offense be a little bit more competent. The defense literally won all the games. This year, I feel like the offense is going to be at another level, and I think the defense is going to be even better. This game is going to be tough because Bama's going to be coming for blood. This game has been circled on their schedule, period. I don't care what nobody says. They want revenge in this game. And Kellen DeBoer wants revenge in this game. It's in Tuscaloosa. I think this is where things get tough. I think we drop this game. I think we dropped this game in a very close one. I know a lot of people aren't, quote unquote, as high on Alabama. I like their offensive line still. Now, I do think that the big problem they have with their tackles is that they're very big and they don't move a lot. I mean, Caden Proctor's really good, but Caden Proctor
355 or something like that.
Yeah, he was getting worn out in that game. But he still had a good game. And I like Caden Proctor a lot. And I think he's gotten refined even more. I don't think that he's I'm not saying that he's bad in any stretch.
Yeah.
That just was not that good. That was not a good game for him at all. It was bad. That game was so bad for him. But I think they'll be prepared and ready to go in that game. And it's going to be a challenge. I think they do overcome. I think they end up finishing. Well, Jam Miller should be back by then, I guess. He's got a broken collarbone. But I don't want to see Richard Young.
By Georgia. They said by Georgia. So that's 4 or 5 weeks earlier.
Yeah, that's a few weeks early. I don't want to see Richard Young. I think he's going to be good. He's a redshirt sophomore. He hasn't played much. They've had a lot of good backs there. Like I said, overall, I like their line. The wide receiver room is solid. I love Bernard and getting Horton from Miami, which was a huge pickup to add with Ryan Williams. You know, I didn't know if you knew this, Coop, but he was only 17 years old when he was playing last year. It's crazy they had a 17-year-old on the field. It's kind of wild, right? Bananas that they did that to themselves. But I like, and so Ty Simpson's going to win it. Ty Simpson was a former 5-star. I know that everybody's wondering what he's going to be, but he wasn't as athletic as Jalen Milroe, who was winning a lot of games, so it's kind of hard to take him out. But I think Ty Simpson fits better in what DeBoer and them's going to do. I think their defense is going to remain stout. I think it's another close one. I think that this is the one that we fall. I think that it's probably 21-17 is what I'm going with Alabama. And that's true, Sooner Cowboy. Richard Young does fumble quite often.
Yeah, and man, I'll be open and honest about when I've had OU at 10-2. It kind of felt like we could beat any of the teams. I mean, every single team on the schedule.
Yep.
It was going to be. There's a game where you don't just have everything you have, or a game that you're playing well, but that team is just lit for the week. I really feel like the LSU, OU, back to back for Alabama is a big deal, and they're going to have those 2 games. This is going to be for seeding for the conference, and they've got some revenge on the mind.
They do.
I think that this is probably the first time that you go on the road this season and you're actually in a truly hostile because you've got Michigan at home, you've got Auburn at home, you got the 50-50 split in Dallas. South Carolina is going to be at 11 a.m. And so this is the one to where I can see this game being 2:30 or later, potentially the primetime game. And I just think that eventually the road woes, you're not going to get them all. And this is just set up to where it's going to be. This doesn't feel like a good one for me. I do have lots of questions about Bama. You lean in on Richard Young, like you just mentioned. He has the fumbles. Kalen DeBoer is a great coach, but I cannot shake the fact that the best he has ever been, he had an NFL quarterback, 3 NFL wide receivers, an NFL running back, a Joe Moore offensive line, and he still couldn't get it done. Yep. Again, that was Michigan the cheating year, but it wasn't necessarily a tight game. So I do have lots of questions about Alabama. I just think too much lines up wrong, and this is one where you might get down, and it may be hard to kind of find the gumption inside to just make it happen.
Yeah, that's true. And Chuck, you're right. We said this about Auburn. We did. We had questions in that game. You're right. But it also was a very different situation of the way that the year was going there. But guess what? We won it. We could go in and win that game. I don't see us being undefeated all the way through there. I think that there will be at least one stumble in between there. It's just natural that you would do that in a strong conference. But I think that that's the one where I think that's the first, to me, that's the first L, and it's the one on the road. All right, next one, though, Coop. Missouri comes to the house. 11 o'clock kickoff for that game. We're going to beat them by 40 on purpose.
Yeah, I promise you, there's a damn reason why Eli Drinkowitz went all of a sudden super nice guy about Bob Stoops the other day, and that was because he knew that what was coming. There's a lot of listen, Missouri. Pate said it the best. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Auburn, South Carolina, Missouri. Last year was the best that they've been in recent program history. And a lot of them feel like it might be a launching board for where they're at. Ole Miss literally is a game that was fumbled away.
Literally, in the literal term.
In the literal term. You don't have Brady Cook anymore. You don't have Luther Burden. You don't have any of those cats. You bring in a lot of newness. This is one to where if I am Brent Venables isn't going to have to say much. I think they're going to around that week, especially if you're coming off of a loss to Alabama. This game is in a microcosm of itself. Everybody knows what's going on. When they're talking about the bye week, they're going to say Missouri, and everybody's going to see what the coaching staff's saying. But you're want to hand that ass to him to where he is just running HB dive to end the game fast after halftime. Let's just please get out of here.
You're funny, Chuck. Now it's not even that. It's really it's. I feel like I said, the Bama game, I think that they're going to have our name. But this one, look, Ahmad Hardy may end up being one of the top 3 running backs in the SEC. I think he's going to be really good. And I really do think that Missouri's going to lean heavy on the run game. That's going to be their focal point. I have questions around the wide receiver room. I think Marquise Johnson could be something. I remember him as a recruit. I like him. The offensive line, we'll see how the line gels. Their line is very veteran. They added a couple of transfers. So they got old people there. A few transfers. Actually, majority of the line is transfers, except for their center, Connor Tullison. So it's all transfers on the line, and we'll see what that looks like. Don't even know who the quarterback is, though. It's between Bo Pribula as well as Sam Horn. And it sounds like it's actually a battle. We don't know who's going to win. It doesn't seem like Bo is separating himself at all.
If you guys in our chat, I know how you feel about weekly captains. But what about naming your two guys fighting for quarterback co-captains for the team? That's what Missouri just did today. They're both going to be captains.
They did that today?
They did it today. They're naming the starter and the backup, whichever way that falls, co-captains.
Oh, God. I'm not a fan of that at all.
Caden Green is moving all over the place. Like, he's been inside at guard, and then now all of a sudden they're like kind of going to bumping him out to the outside and let him play tackle. And now there's also podcasters, not Oklahoma folks, saying, Missouri shouldn't be in the SEC. There was somebody else who popped in, and was it? There was somebody that popped in on one of the bigger ones and said, Missouri's not an SEC stadium, making fun of the rocks and stuff like that. Like, listen, man, you had
for a while.
You had your little run. That was cute and all, but this is an ass whooping.
We should go in there and we should blast them. We for real should. That is my expectation for Oklahoma in this game, is that this is a destructive game of destruction and lots of destruction on destruction. We're going to go in there with a purpose. We should have did it last year. This year, competent offense, we should be able to. So I'm high on that one. Missouri plays Mississippi State before us, so we'll see how Lebby's doing going up to this point. He may actually have them balling. Last game of the season, though. Go Tigers. LSU Tigers come to Norman. First time, I think, ever that they've been to Norman. Every time we've played them has either been a Death Valley or bowl game. Has not been a home-and-home series, I do not believe.
No, you're right. And I want to say that it was – I want to say that we've never played them at Death Valley until last year. I could be wrong, but we've only played them
4 times ever, and it was all bowl games, it looks like. Let me see.
Now, it was like it was at their house because it was the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans.
Sugar Bowl twice, and then Atlanta at the Peach Bowl, and then we played at Death Valley. So this is our first time having a quote-unquote home-and-home or whatnot. And when I look at their schedule, they have a cupcake the week before us. They're playing Western Kentucky. So they're basically tuning up while we're playing Missouri in an SEC game, which is pretty awesome. But at the same time, this is what you do in the SEC, right? Your schedule's typically tough. They play Clemson to start the season off. And so instead of having that additional cupcakes up there, they move theirs right there before one of the last games of the season. They play Arkansas at home. So they play Bama before we play Bama. And then, then they got Arkansas, Western Kentucky at the crib. And then Thanksgiving weekend, they pull up to Norman. I was listening to SEC Unfiltered, our boy Chris Phillips over there. Chopped it up, watching his view, and he thinks LSU goes 10-2 next season. He thinks that they walk into Norman 10-1 and lose. And dang it, I'm going to agree with him. I think we pull out that win. That's the team that I was the most concerned about, bringing back so many players. But their offensive line, as good as the offensive line was last year, they still struggled in ways that they should not have struggled in. They should not have struggled in the run, and they kind of struggled in the run, even with that good. I mean, Caden Durham figured it out, but they struggled and they shouldn't have.
Yeah.
This year, the line is not as good as it was last year. Question's going to be how good they go. So I'm going to go ahead and say I've switched it up on my final selections of it. I'll say we win that one. And I'll give you, we're going to do FaceTime after this of why we picked that record. But, Coop, what do you think about the outcome of this game will be?
Well, Jay, I thought that you and I were both on the 10-2 island, and I thought I was going to pull a fast one on you and go to 11-1. But then you did it before I could do it. So, guys, there's something about the knee thing, and that came out. Nussmeier you got Michael Van Buren as the backup. So it's not like if Nussmeier runs into issues, you're not going to have, you're not going to have a great quarterback. And so I don't want that to be focused, but I do want the focus to be around the offensive line. It has been consistently not good so far. And this is, as of the practice season and as of team notes and looking through these things, when I'm talking about these teams, I'm not just pulling stuff out the backside. Like, I look at the team notes for the other team. I'm watching these things. I'm trying to see what the rational fans sound like, because you can go into the full-blown hopium OU guys and you can go into the doomer OU guys. We have a convert, and I just want to say welcome to the bright side, Sooner Cowboys. Thank you for joining us, because,
he's hit his head
Sooner
too many
Cowboys
times.
If there's ever been a doomer, that was him, and he has seen it. So sometimes these guys flip. But I will say this is they have a good crew of wide receivers, and they've got a great running back here from the Oklahoma area. Nussmeier's injury will be an issue at some point this year. The significance of it, I'm still yet to see. It is a degenerative thing. It is something that he has an issue on, and this offensive line is really struggling to find it. And so, I can't see, guys. We could have won that game last year. You knock him out of it. You're on the road. You kind of had some things figured out. You're playing Death Valley at night, and then homeboy got himself an Infinity Stone shot that gave him all the healing that he needed. But still, that was an awful team last year that was able to go out there and put up a competitive piece.
It was the purple herb. It was the purple herb.
Oh yeah,
from
the
Black
Wakanda
Panther.
forever.
They got them the Wakanda purple herb instead of for the tiger. They got a tiger version of it, the tiger heart. They grinded it up, poured it in him, and that dude was able to just regenerate whatever major issues he had in that game. But yeah, we knocked him smooth out. We right in the mouth, and we hit just about every team in the SEC like that, with just our defense doing all the work, and then we didn't have an offense to really reciprocate that, and it was no fault to the quarterback that tried. It just was what it was, right? Michael Hawkins was just dealt an unfortunate card, but we're going to be a lot healthier on the offensive line. A lot of people asking the questions, do we know who the offensive line is going to be? I have an idea. I've heard that I think Bill Beatonbow has his ideas, but at the same time, Bill Beatonbow, he hasn't said who the exact offensive line is going to be like in any year that he's been here. It's always been a shift in deciding on who's the consistent person or whatnot. I don't expect Fasusi to start early. I expect Sexton to be out there if he's healthy. If Sexton's not healthy, Fasusi's starting. That's just what it is. And he was dealing with I think it was like a slight concussion or something like that. But overall, knock on wood, I'll knock on Mjolnir too as well. Pretty healthy on the offensive line.
Yeah.
Couple of bells rung in spring practice, which is good. Not good, but, it's not super serious. I think our offensive line is going to go out there against Illinois State, Michigan, and we'll have the offensive line that I believe is going to start. I think it's going to be Sexton. I think EPL. Actually, you know what? I think Heath Ozida takes that spot back. EPL rotates with him. Troy Everett in the middle. I think Waywu, of course, we already maximally know Everett and Waywu is going to win their spots. I think right tackle Derek Simmons owns that one to start. Logan Howland's right behind him for that. But then you'll see in that second unit of Fasusi, EPL, Mikla, Foger at the right, and then right tackle being Howland. So we're going to have 10 dudes that's going to be ready to play, which I'm very happy about. And then you'll actually have another group with Jake Taylor, UK Dan, ready to get himself ready to go, right? So we actually have comfort. And I'm actually confident about the offensive line, and I'll break down the position in another video this week when I go through the offensive stuff. But no, Not gonna lie, man. I think we actually end up winning this game. I think we get revenge from last year. I think that we actually close it. I think it's 30-20.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. It does not matter. As long as you got more at the end of the game than the other team does, that's what I'm going for. And that's it. It's built on the lines. I think that the offensive line is, the difference between last year is you had guys, like Gabe said it best, like he would roll out there to practice, and the offensive line just looked horrendous, and anybody that he wanted to see out there was standing over on the side, in street clothes, and
a lot of street clothes.
That's not. A lot of street clothes look like a back to school commercial, instead of a football practice. So, yeah, it's going to be. You get, again, like I said, everybody that has got dinged up throughout spring will be back, or I guess throughout fall will be back this week, and you're getting ready for your practice. But I have a very, very, very good feeling about this team, not just because the team made incremental changes to get better, but again, I think that you lost a lot of the COVID super seniors, which were extremely older depth. You lost a lot of quarterback, comfort when you have a lot of the younger guys who are the next ones up, no longer be here, like a Nico. There's just a bunch of it. There's a lot of stuff, and you get a bunch of brand new quarterbacks with their teams coming into Norman or coming up against a Brent Venables defense, and the defense travels. And the difference is the teams that got us, a Texas, South Carolina, the offense did nothing to keep them. It's like playing pool at the end of the game. The offense basically didn't get anything in the hole and left the cue ball lined up right in front of the 8 ball in front of a hole. So it's like it just left an easy shot for you. And this is going to be a team to where I think it is going to be a full competitive team that is going to do the job that's out in front of them. You're going to have spectacular plays here and there, but I think when you look back at the end of the year, we're going to point at a bunch of different players and go, man, remember that time when they had this? Oh, yeah, remember that time when they did this? And you're going to have, instead of having a CeeDee Lamb or, a Kyler Murray, you're going to have just a full team effort.